So we have the most intimate session of the day right now. Well, it's hard to. Oh, yeah, really. And the reason I'm using the mic isn't because I can't project this far. It's because it's being recorded. So, but anyways, thanks for coming because it's actually when people do evaluations after the show, after the conference, this is actually one of the top-rated sessions, and you get the intimate one. If we get through all your questions really quickly, we can also leave early, but it's shorter. So we're very lucky with CureJM to have a panel of teens, but also just a panel of very active teens who are paying it forward, helping both the parents, but other kids, kids who are coming up through the experience and their journey with JM. So I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves. No room. Oh, it's a photographer, so okay. Yeah, it will be a well-chronicled event. So I'm going to let each of our young adults introduce themselves, and I'll a little bit of what your journey has been with JM, and then I'll throw the same question I threw in the last group. You know, if there's something that you could have told your parents at a younger age on how they work with you, react to your JM, help you with it, what would be that piece of advice?
Okay, so I'm Parrish. I'm 18 and I'm from Indiana. I was diagnosed when I was 15, and they found out I was sick because I was I was a basketball player, and so I just stopped being able to breathe. I stopped it was a struggle, and my chest always hurt while I was playing, and so that's what really helped me get diagnosed. But something I'd suggest to parents about how to handle their kids and what to do is really just kind of should I say the same thing?
I mean, you meant it the first time, so yeah.
Okay, it's the same advice I gave to the last time. Just understand that not every day is going to be a good, there are going to be bad days and you can't really help that. And so just be there for them, but don't overcrowd them and just kind of let them, it's okay if they're not feeling okay. It's not it's the disease. It's not the end of the world.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm 21. I was 15 when I was diagnosed. And we think that I was sick for about 4 years before that. And then the summer before I started 10th grade, I got really bad. It took about 3 months, and we got a diagnosis. And I am still on a full range of medication, but I'm pretty stabilized. And I would say that my best advice, and this is not targeted at you guys did a really good job of doing this, but I think to keep everything as normal as possible is really helpful so that they're not constantly reminded of being sick and not constantly everything is about how they're sick and that's all their life is. Just get back to normal activities and being as normal as possible when you're not dealing exactly with medication or doctor's appointments, because that's only part of their lives. It's not the whole thing.
I'm Morgan. I am 19 years old. I was diagnosed when I was 11. I used to be a gymnast and competitive cheerleader, so I was very, very active, and I did a lot of tumbling, and I slowly started to lose all of that, and my mom never really put that together, what was happening to me before we were diagnosed and everything. And so once I finally got diagnosed, it took a little bit. It was really rough for me to adjust to everything. And I think the biggest piece of advice I would have would be kind of similar to what Anna was saying, but just keep everything as normal as possible, but also know that you can't fix everything as a parent. There are going to be some things that you can't fix and some things that your child has to go through alone. And that some days I dealt with teasing and bullying, and parents can't fix that. That's not something you can really change. That's not something that has anything to do with you, so you just have to make sure you support your child through everything, and while still trying to keep as normal of a life as possible.
I'm Maddie. I'm 15. I'm from New York. I was diagnosed when I was 7. I was in the hospital for 6 months straight, and then I got out, and like I went through a lot of rehab and stuff, and I was definitely on the track of getting better. And then in 6th grade, I relapsed, and I didn't like fully go back like where I was, but I still like was back on all this medication, steroids, all that kind of stuff. And then ever since, it's just been like an uphill battle, but we're getting there. The best advice I'd give, like, actually, like, I'm gonna keep saying this, but like the normalcy, like my mom always like let me hang out with my friends all the time. Like she just tried to do whatever she could, like so I was like everybody else, and let me continue the things that I was doing before I got sick.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm from Connecticut, although I'll be in Boston this next year for school. I was diagnosed at 2.5, and I am now 18. I have not been in remission, but I am close to remission, I guess. And I would say my advice is to learn when to be a helicopter parent and when not to be. Helicopter being like on top of your child about their pills and sunscreen, and not being like, just like not telling them for a day, seeing what happens, like letting them do whatever they want, even though it might not be the best for them. Yeah.
Throw it out. Do you guys have any questions? And I am putting you guys more on the spot, but if you don't, we have a litany of questions we can come up with too.
How old were you when you said you were diagnosed?
15.
And are you still going through treatment?
Yeah, I was 15, and I'm still going through treatment. I've only had one major flare up, but I just got off prednisone this Christmas. It was a very good Christmas present. And I just got off methotrexate about a month ago. But I still have IVIG, which takes about 10 to 12 hours a day. And then I still have Plaquenil.
Who was, somebody was diagnosed younger? How old? 2.5.
I was 7.
7.
Yeah. It was, I mean, like, I've had one major flare afterwards. Like, I haven't, like, a couple of, like, not, like, too bad, but, like, my first experience was, like, really rough. Like, I spent 2 months in, like, an ICU in New York, and then, like, I literally, like, couldn't speak. I couldn't walk. Like, I couldn't even eat anything. Like, I was on NG tube. Like, so I had to go upstate for, like, 4 months just to, like, get better. And even when I came home, I, like, still went to PT every single day. Like, it really took a while to get back on track, but I mean, I'm doing great now, so it's good.
Yeah, you guys look good. I mean,
This is a good panel.
yeah, I would have never known. So
We were talking about that. We led the 2 sessions ago. There was one just for teens who are actually dealing with JDM, and almost everyone agrees that like the first thing that people say when they tell them that they're sick is they're like, "Oh, you don't look sick at all," because we don't. I mean, unless you have like mega rash on your face or something, you can't tell looking at any of us. And for me at least, I don't know about the rest of you, you could never tell. And it makes it almost harder because people don't believe you. Personally, I'm really grateful that you could never tell, because I at least didn't have to deal with like that on top of everything else. I think that would have been really hard for me. But at the same time, having like professors in college not fully understand the extent of what I'm going through and not giving me, like, some of them were amazing and some of them have been like a little questionable, and they just don't, they're like, "Oh, you're missing school, like that's not okay." And I'm like, yes, but chemo, it's a good excuse, I think. Thanks for laughing, Dad. But that is a hard thing with this disease. It's like, we do look good, and I'm sure the rest of you feel the same. Like, I put on a really good face at acting like I'm okay too. Like, when I go to work and everything like that, like, I don't act my sickest and then I come home and I'm like slumped.
I think that is, I think that is one of the biggest things, is that we don't look sick, so it's very difficult for people to tell. And when they do find out, people tend to react a little strange because they can't quite put it together in their brains until they have physical signs of something. So like even my uncle, I had it for about 2 years at this point, or maybe 3, and I was in the hospital with meningitis as a side effect of IVIG. And my uncle had never really seen me very sick, and he came and visited me in the hospital, and I looked like really, really bad because I was feeling horrible. I'd been in the hospital for a few days. And once he saw the physical sign of that, he really started to treat me differently. So I think that's how it has been with my, or not treat me differently, but he just started to understand more, and I could really tell. And I think that's how it's been with other people as well. Like my boyfriend now, he had the same sort of thing. Like he never really understood until I flared up about a year ago. And he was like, oh, this is actually like a really big problem because, like you said, I do put on a really good face. Like I'm really good at acting like I'm normal and like acting like I'm okay. So.
Mine is like mostly skin. So like whenever you guys all say like you like look fine but like you don't feel okay, mine is like kind of the total opposite. Like I feel perfectly fine but I look bad. Like my hands will like start getting all flared up, and like my knuckles especially, like they'll turn red, and people at work would be like, are you okay? Like you need to sit down, like you look red, you look pale. I'm like, no, I'm fine, like I feel great. But it's like I just look so red and like a tomato. And so like the medicine definitely, like when you're on the medicine, definitely shows sometimes to people that you're sick, and like your face is like a lot bigger than the rest of your body. Yeah.
What do y'all think about sunscreen?
I currently love sunscreen because I'm scared I'm going to get wrinkles when I'm older. But I mean, as you grow up, you learn to either love it or hate it. Today I bought my first hat on my own without my parents bothering me about it. And I was like, wow, accomplishment. I was like, I hope my mom pays for it though. So, I mean, you definitely learn as you grow up the importance of sunscreen and whether you like it or whether you hate it like some of us do.
You brought up a good example because that's what I tell. This is our JDM, and we keep telling her all the time like she hates sunscreen. She likes to wear we buy her the long sleeve shirts and stuff, and she's okay with that, but she just doesn't want to put it on her face or anything. But she does it. But like we keep telling her, like you're gonna have beautiful skin when you get older, and your sisters are gonna be. Yeah.
That's like the good, like I wear, like on the pool I wear like the pants up down to your knees and like the long swim shirts, and like yeah I look like a fool in them, but like I don't have to put as much sunscreen on, and I love it. Like it's so much easier. Like you just put it like up to here on your arms and your face, and like and sometimes my legs, but it's great. Yeah.
I hate going to the pool with my friends because I don't like when I'm with them, like I feel weird wearing like my long bathing suit that has like the capri/skirt thing and like my long like arm, because if I don't wear that, my parents will be on my butt about it. So I hate going to the pool with my friends because then like I don't feel pressured to wear like a bikini or like one piece, but I feel like weird if I'm not wearing it like with everyone else, because then the lifeguards will be like, oh, is that a swimsuit? And I'll be like, yeah, it's a swimsuit. So yeah, I mean I like love going to the pool, but I don't like going to the pool with my friends for some reason.
You could wear sunscreen.
I'm pretty bad about sunscreen, except I know how important it is, and I'm really trying to get better about it. It's just very difficult when you're in college and nobody else really has to do that kind of thing, and it's really tough, but you have to make yourself do it, or because it's really important. But I've been getting better about it recently, but I used to be really bad about it.
I'm really good at every morning I moisturize my face, and it has a strong sunscreen in it. So I'm good at that. And if I go to the beach or the pool, I'm really good at sunscreening. It's the other times when I'm just walking around, I don't think about it. And every conference they remind me, and they're like, even if you're walking from your car, like I should know this by now. It's hard to remember, but I also don't spend that much time outside if I can help it. Like I am not standing around in the sun. And I'm really holding on to the fact that I am going to have beautiful skin when I'm older. And that makes me happy because that's it's like a silver lining. I'll take it. Also, we have skin cancer in my family, so like avoid that.
The least favorite thing for me about sunscreen is the smell. Like I hate the smell so much, but there are actually sunscreens you can buy like that smell like bananas or Hawaii stuff like what?
There's the Hawaiian sunscreen. Oh, it's my favorite.
So they have like different smells. If you don't like, I like the ones I get is a sun bum, and it smells like bananas. But also something I've struggled with is like it's kind of uncomfortable putting sunscreen on repeatedly around your friends, and like it's just like no one else has to do it, and here you are, you have to like sit out or like I went boating recently, and like before I could go tubing, I just had to sit there for like 15 minutes just putting sunscreen all over my body. So, but it's so worth it because I didn't get burned, and I'm doing great right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you guys got to remember is that those little things, and you're still like, I mean, get to live normal lives, right? So that's why I try to, make her understand, but she's little. So
Yeah.
like,
Well, the thing that helps me remember how important it is like you really do learn from your mistakes. So a couple months ago, I got burned really badly and I crashed hard. Luckily, I knew what to do immediately to help myself get back from that as quickly as possible. But since then, I've been very careful, just because it's like a little reminder that you can have a full flare and you're like, sunscreen is better than that. It sucks, but it's better than that. Yeah. So those things, while in the moment they're not helpful, in the long run are like a good reminder.
Do you prefer the spray or do you prefer like lotion?
I mean, I prefer the spray, but it doesn't do anything.
well.
I'm convinced it's useless.
I am more likely to do the lotion than the spray. So just because it's a lot easier, I don't have to like go outside and like spray down my whole body and like. I mean, I guess you could, but like, yeah. And so the lotion is much easier for me to remember, and I put that on my face more than my body. I normally always have something on my face, even if it's just like my makeup that has sunscreen in it. But yeah.
I had another question. I'm sorry. So my daughter's 7. Oh, well, sorry, she's 9, but diagnosed at 7. And I have a hard time kind of gauging. I know the disease has a lot of fatigue associated with it. So she's now doing full day school, and sometimes she complains she's tired. I don't want to call her lazy or anything like that, but sometimes she just crashes because she's so fatigued, and I know that's associated with the disease. Like, how do you deal with that part of it?
One thing that really helped me when I was in school, well, again, not in college, is I actually did part virtual school, which was really, really helpful because I wouldn't go until 4th period. I mean, I started in middle school. I guess you don't really have periods when you're 9. But that was really, really helpful. It helped me, like, I got to, like, I would sleep in a little bit. It would help me catch up on my sleep because I needed more sleep than everyone else. Plus, I got to do some of my homework, so then if I got back from school later and I wasn't feeling well or I was tired, that helped a lot. Also, now though, I just kind of, I know I've learned how to read my body, and I know when it's time to take a break. And so if I need to miss a day of class, then I miss a day of class. It's not the end of the world. I can tell my professors I have accommodations, and yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't diagnosed till 15, so I don't know how middle school works, but if it continues, when I was in high school, my teacher and I worked with the head of the school, and they made a schedule for me. So I left school, I think 3 days a week at lunch. And because of that, I'm really good at staying in touch with my teachers and communicating how I'm feeling to those around me who need to know. And I mean, that's really helped me in the long run, and I think that's a great skill that I learned from it, but also it helped me. I could not get through a full week of school. I just couldn't do it.
That's why I feel like she's
I mean,
struggling.
believe me, I know I'm lazy, but this was like, I could not physically do it.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes it's not laziness.
Yeah.
If she's saying she's tired, she's probably
Tired.
yeah. But it is hard because you don't want her to miss out on those social things. You don't want to miss out on school. But if you don't, my big thing for me was like, if I don't take care of this now, in the long run, it's going to be worse and it's going to last longer. So I was like desperate to take care of it before I started college. And now I build my whole schedule. When I put my schedule together for the semester, I put nap time in there. And in college, it's so much easier because you're like 2 classes a day, sometimes 3. So that by that time, that's a long way off for you. But that makes it like, you know, being able to do your own schedule is really helpful.
When I was in second grade, that's when I was first diagnosed. Like, I missed the first like September to November of school, and like I really enjoyed school. Like, I still enjoy it now. So like my teachers always sent me work to do at home. But then when I started again in 6th grade, I used to leave 2 periods early every single day until like then I got to like March, and then I kind of went the full day. But I had home tutoring, so every day that I missed, I had a tutor. So like they would go like I missed a full week once, so then like Monday was math, Tuesday was this, so they would do by subject like that, just so I stayed ahead, so I like wasn't falling behind.
Do y'all know what a 504 is?
What a what?
A 504?
Oh, yeah.
Do y'all have one, like the ones that are in college?
Well, it's different. It's called accommodations. So you go to the like Office of Disability at your college, and you set up like what accommodations you need. So I have things like relaxed attendance, extra time on tests, things like that. And it just like lets your professors know, makes you more aware. But I also had a 504, and I kind of forgot what all that's about, so I'm gonna let you.
I got it, like, I didn't have one until 6th grade, and then when I got into 6th grade, they have, like, the home tutoring, so usually it's, like, if you miss 10 days, then you get it, but, like, it was, like, if I missed 1 day, I got it. I have that, I have extra set of books, 5 minutes between classes, so I'm, like, I don't have to be in the crowds, AC in each of my classrooms, and there's one more, and extra a time and a half on everything, and, like, separate location testing.
Yeah, I had just learned about it this afternoon, so I was just, you know, if you don't have one, make sure, because that is actually a legal document. So if they don't accommodate you, then they could get in trouble. So it's really to your benefit.
The teachers, like, you'd be surprised, like, a lot of things that they don't follow, like, they really, like, follow on that. Like, they'll go ahead on everything on that. Like, they'll give you everything you have.
Yeah, well, we had a parent that was struggling with that. Like, the teachers weren't doing anything about it, and they ended up changing schools because of it. But
Yeah, no, it was really, really helpful for me when I was in school, because like I said, I did the virtual school and things like that, and if I missed, like, people understood. It was really great. I would really recommend getting one.
And also, sorry, you go first. Yeah.
I didn't have one in high school. I think that my high school was so good about dealing with me that we never even felt like we needed one. They really gave me anything I needed. But in college, I basically have all the same accommodations as her. And for the first 2 years when I lived in a dorm, they had to put me on a dorm on the first floor. So things like that. That I wouldn't even think of, like, if I can't use the elevator, if I need to use the elevator, but the elevator's out, like, and I couldn't walk down the stairs, that's not great. So, okay, to be fair, both years I ended up living on the 3rd floor. That was my choice. That was bad. Oh, yes. So, sophomore year, I got really sick from mold. I go to school in New Orleans, and the whole city is moldy, but my dorm was especially moldy. And none of my suite mates were getting sick because they don't have compromised immune systems. And my mom flipped, and she called housing, and because I was registered with Goldman, they immediately that day set me up with a brand new single giant dorm that was on the 1st floor. Tulane is one of the only colleges in the country that has 2 dorms that are not handicap accessible. Not something I'm proud of. But like being registered with any kind of thing, just you don't know what's going to come up, and just having that under your belt is really helpful because they believe you more. Goldman is the Office of Disability, sorry. It's Goldman's Office of Disability. That's what it's called.
And, like, this is, like, I don't know if you were ever considering this, but, like, I'm in 9th grade, so, like, last year I was considering going into private school. So, like, I went there, like, I met with all of them, and my public school, like, where I live, like, they gave me such better accommodations than they did in private school, so I ended up staying. So if that ever came into consideration.
So like I always had a 504 throughout all of high school, and I've always exercised it. And so the times where like I didn't always like on certain tests I was like, oh well, this is just like a quick quiz, like this is a quick test, like I don't need to, and it like I felt like it really like I could tell a difference between in my grades when I exercised and when I didn't. So I would definitely recommend getting a 504 if you could.
What's the hardest thing that you've had to deal with during this process?
I don't even know where to begin.
Is it the medication?
No.
Mine was just like growing up and trying to be normal. Because like when I was little, like everyone knew me as the girl who's allergic to the sun, because that was my way of explaining my disease to other people my age. So it's like elementary school, I was like, oh, it's fine. Like they like at least they understand. Middle school, people are like, oh yeah, you're the girl who always has to wear a hat and sunscreen. I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then like in high school, people are like they'll give me like an attitude being like, are you sure you're still sick? Or like they'll just like, they won't like, some people weren't the nicest about it, where it's like a lot of other people were like really chill with it. It's just kind of like navigating your way through the sea of people, trying to figure out who cares about it and like who doesn't really care about your disease and who thinks you're lying, you know? So it's kind of just like trying to figure out your niche in the community and reaching out to everyone, I think was kind of like my hardest part, and like asking people for help when I needed to.
You find it easier as you got older now?
Yeah. Every year is like, it gets so much better than how it was before.
How old are you?
18.
I think as like you get into college, it probably will get better, because like that's when you find the groups that you're, really want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And versus like high school and middle school, it's just very cliquey, and
Yeah.
kids are just mean, like,
Yeah.
period. So
But like even my teachers, every year gets better with them, because like I learn now how to talk to them better and how to like explain to them like that I need help sometimes, because I didn't have the 504, so it's like I didn't have any of the accommodations that like other kids do have too. So it's like you can also survive without the 504. I wish I had it though.
I felt like going to middle school, like when I first applied, was really hard because I was mixing with like other schools and stuff, so I really didn't know many people. And like I started school and I was fine, and like I just like was on steroids, my face blew up, like I was like doing so many activities, I was so active, and I had to like stop everything. And like I was using a wheelchair in school, I had a walker, like it was just, everyone kept like talking about me and like didn't want to ask me to my face, like, oh, like what's wrong with you, whatever. But then they were talking like behind me, like talking behind my back to other people. So I thought that transition was like really hard. Like if it like maybe even if I would have flirted like the year later, that would have been a lot easier. And I think it was like new teachers and new principals, and it was hard.
I mean, this is still a really big question. I don't even know. I mean, it's all been hard in some ways and actually worked in my favor in others, because I now I do public speaking at healthcare conferences, so I kind of turned it into like a positive sort of thing. I found my passion, but I guess the hardest thing was just trying to be a normal kid, because that's all anyone really wants when you're faced with something like this, is you just want to be a normal person. Especially in like middle school, it was really rough because I was diagnosed the year before 7th grade, and I was very athletic, very thin, very fit, and then when I couldn't do that anymore, I lost all of my friends. I didn't lose all of them, but we just slowly drifted apart because I was no longer doing those sort of activities. So I didn't see them every day, so I had to find a whole new group of friends. And middle school is just rough. I would honestly say sometime around there was probably the hardest point at all this. It's definitely gotten better as I've gotten older. I've learned how to deal with it, learned how to make friends who are going to stick around for a while. So, I mean, it gets better.
I think that I was diagnosed the summer before I started 10th grade, and I never had like a normal high school experience. And that was really hard, and that was really lonely. And part of that was my fault. I totally like stayed in my room a lot and like only would have a couple friends over. And didn't feel like people would invite me out or they'd invite me to things and I just didn't feel comfortable going, and I was just not physically able. And then I think I got to a point where I was just like too lazy. Not lazy, but I'd just gotten so used to being like, nah, that I didn't want to go. So when I went to college, by that point, I was doing, at that point, the best that I'd ever been. I was able to, for the most part, be normal. But the better I get, it's almost harder when I have little other things that come up. So I get sick a lot because I'm so immunosuppressed. And I have other like chronic infections that I've been getting. And those things, it's like, why am I doing so much better now? And yet I still have these things that set me back all the time. And they stand in my way of like, when I finally feel normal, something else happens. And I'm like, but I was finally feeling better. So I think that's really hard to just wrap your head around. But at the same time, there are silver linings that I prefer to focus on. I think it's made me a lot more mature than I ever would have been. And it's taught me a lot about myself and who I want to be and what I want to do with my life. So in some ways, I am grateful for it.
The hardest part of for me was probably like dealing with just like it was so overwhelming to me, and I've never really been like too much of an emotional guy. But like being on all those steroids, it really throws your emotions out of whack, and then like the overwhelming sense of like this is here for life, and being on those medications and having to remember it and explaining it to your friends and them looking at you differently, like it's all just so overwhelming. And like the steroids, I had like rage for no reason, or like I'd get ticked off at the smallest of things, and I'd get so low, so sad. And I couldn't explain it, and that was probably the toughest part. And that's eventually why I did, like, my mom talked to me about therapy for a while, and I always was like, no, like, I'm not crazy. I'm not, like, nothing's wrong with me. I'm just going through some stuff. Like, I have a disease. But then, like, after, like, 6 months on the steroids, I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, my emotions were all up and down. I was angry. I was sad. I decided to finally do therapy, and that really helped me a lot. It helped me like focus on like what I needed to do. I stayed busy. I always like, for me, it was staying busy. So like I wouldn't let my mind stop and think like above the surface. So I'd always like be exercising, or I would have friends over. That was probably because I couldn't do much. So I would try to cook, because you could cook sitting down. I got really good at brownies. But I would have like friends over. My family would play board games, just small stuff, so I wouldn't have to just sit and be sad or sit and be angry at nothing, honestly.
Were all of you on steroids?
I'm still on steroids. It's horrible.
Steroids were the worst. I had the same exact. Yeah, honestly, yeah, I agree. This taste is horrible. Just I agree that like everything. I was just. Plus, I was going through like puberty, and I was already a hormonal, angry little creature. Like plus the steroids, I was just horrible to deal with. Like, I feel so bad for my mom. I had the same exact thing. Like, I would get angry for no reason, sad for no reason, cry for no reason, scream and yell. It was just, I take that back. Steroids were the worst.
Regarding medication, how do you guys think how is it managing your meds? I know Anna at one point had to give herself shots in the stomach. Those things are tough, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, like now that you're older, your parents aren't going to be with you like every day like they were when you were little. So do you think that you'll be able to manage all of that by yourself? And
Well, I'm like, we've already started the process like of me filling out my scripts already. We have like 2-week boxes because I'm lucky I don't have to take pills that morning and night. I only have to take them once a day. So I just fill out the boxes and I'll have like 2 weeks set, like just ready to go. So I'm starting to do like I'm filling out the box for me instead of my mom doing it. And so once I'm at college, I feel like I'll just pick right up where I was at home, just doing it myself. And that really helped. But with the methotrexate, what my mom did, like she started giving me the shots. Then I did it myself, but it made me so nauseous just to think about it. She would come in while I was sleeping, wake me up. I would like kind of like wake up, and she would just kind of do it before I could even realize what was happening, and then I would just go back to bed. And so that was the nicest part about my mom being there for my medicine. But luckily for me, I'm kind of off a lot of it, so I only have a few medications to really keep track of.
You're not doing shots anymore.
Finished at Christmas.
No, the prednisone was Christmas. A month ago, I just got off methotrexate. It was really nice.
So since I was diagnosed at 15, I've been in charge of my meds the entire time. My mom made sure that from the very beginning I was able to refill my prescriptions. And as soon as I started driving, I was picking them up on my own for the most part. So I've always been in charge. So when I went to college, it wasn't like anything really changed. To answer your question, I think that at first I started on the pills for the methotrexate, and then I went to the shot, and I went back to the pills, one, because the shot made me more nauseous. And after a while of giving myself the shot, it was just such a reminder, like that felt so much more extreme than just taking pills. So it was like that whole process every week was just such a big spiel. And I was like, I would rather take 10 extra pills once a week than have to like deal with all of this. So that was just easier for me. Giving myself the shot wasn't a problem. It just was more the idea of it and what it represented that bugged me.
I did methotrexate for a little bit, and then I got off of it because I honestly didn't seem like it helped that much. It was just making me nauseous, and I didn't really want to give myself a shot like all the time. I'm still on a bunch of other medications though. I take like almost 20 pills a day, and still get 2 infusions a month. And then to answer your question, I am fully transitioned now, so I do all of my own care. I go to all my doctor's visits alone, but that's mainly because I'm in college. I go to Auburn in Alabama, and I'm from Tampa, Florida, so that's like an 8-hour drive, so my mom can't really drive all the way up there. I just hold my hand. So I kind of was forced to transition by doing that, but I was ready to anyways. I was already transitioning before I left for college. And I don't actually fill up my meds myself because I actually have this pharmacy. It's called a specialty pharmacy. It's run out of Georgia, and they actually package all of my medications into little bubble packs and ship them to me every month, so I don't have to do any of that. It's really, really, really convenient. Yeah,
for one day,
it's one single thing. Yeah, and so I just pop that open, swallow them, and move on with my day. And so there's no like at the end of the week like waiting for it. It gets shipped straight to my apartment. It's really, really nice. I would recommend it.
Yeah,
it's pretty great, and it's actually cheaper than doing it through your regular pharmacy.
You need to get him the information.
Yeah, seriously.
Like Morgan, I take about like 20 pills a day. Like the nice pill case, the morning and night one. I got off methotrexate about a year ago. When I was first diagnosed, I was on it for a couple years, and then I went off it again, and then Floyd went back on it. It was the worst thing ever. I still do like the infusions and stuff like that. I'm off steroids, been off since probably February. Yeah. And yeah, it's going well.
I am only on Cellcept and IVIG every 4 months. I'm supposed to have my last IVIG in like 3 months now. And so I've been doing my own pills ever since I was 8. So like, yeah, so I guess 10 years ago. or 10 years. Yeah. So I've been doing them for like 8-ish, 10 years. And I like to organize them by color. I take them in the morning and night, and I have like the little pill boxes. And I mostly just take vitamins now besides my Cellsep pill. But like, I like organizing my pill box. It's fun.
I don't know how old she is, but 9? I don't know what age you guys are comfortable with, but I think that getting them in charge of their meds with supervision is a really good way to give them control over their disease and give them an idea of what they're putting into their bodies and like what they're doing. And it just makes them feel like they can do it themselves, and that's really important, I think.
I think that also makes it feel not as overwhelming. So if you let them be in charge, it really it would really help, I think, because that's kind of what my mom did. I mean, I was a little bit older than 9, but that's also because I was diagnosed at 11. But that, and also just trying to explain more. I'm sure she understands a little bit, but probably not as much as might be helpful. If you start explaining it now, then there won't be as much. It won't be as much of a shock when she has to transition and take care of herself. Yeah.
And also, like, there's not that much we can control. Like, it's kind of taking over us. So, like, these little things that we can do is really always helpful. Like, I feel like I'm, like, ahead of it, but meanwhile, I'm really not. But the little things really do help.
So I have a question for you guys. I think you guys are all fantastic. I know one of you from but the rest of you guys are knocking my socks off too. So we got two of you are in college right now. Hello. 2 are going into college in about 2 months. And one of them's going to go to college. I can just see it on your face. It's written all over your face. You're going to college. How do y'all deal with, well, I'll put it this way. My daughter goes to Tulane. It's the hardest charging party school in the world. Those people drink like fish. How do you deal with that? And how do you expect to deal with it once you get there?
So this kind of goes in hand with trying to be as normal as possible. So I do drink. I guess none of my medications really, I'm not on methotrexate, which is the biggest one, if you're going to be drinking alcohol. I mean, I kind of just go on like I would normally. Like I'm not on any meds that really prohibit it. I don't know. I have the same side effects everyone else does in the morning after. Like, so I feel like that's incentive enough to not go insane with it. Obviously it's not, I don't binge drink all the time. Like, it's just, I'll drink like every once in a while, like on a night out or something like that. I feel like if you do it in small doses and you're not on any medications that prohibit it, it's fine to do.
Shh, she's 23.
23 according to my thing.
Well, you'll be surprised when you get to college. You'll find a way around.
Okay, well, Morgan said that very maturely, but no one at my school thinks that way, so that's why he asked this question. But as he knows, I never drank in high school because I've been on methotrexate for so long. And they told me I couldn't drink, so I never drank in high school. Like, I wouldn't touch it. I was really good about following that. And then I got to New Orleans, and I got a new rheumatologist, and she said that I could have, like, 1 drink a night to, like, fit in. And she was like, it's not going to do you any harm as long as you don't go over that. And even just, like, this sounds so sad that you have to act like everyone else to fit in. But just having a drink in my hand, even if I was like slowly sipping half a drink, made me feel a lot more normal. It is hard though, being surrounded by people that are like super drunk all the time, partially because I wouldn't be doing that even if I wasn't on methotrexate. Like, they look stupid and it doesn't look fun. But that is, I mean, I don't care that I can't drink. It's more just being surrounded by people that are constantly drinking. That's a little tricky, but I mean, in high school, I never had a problem. I never felt pressured. People offer me drinks, and I'll be like, I can't. And they're like, great, more for me. So I've
Sorry, no, keep going.
So it's been hard, but it's also I'm so grateful that I did not turn into that party culture that Tulane is. Huh? It's not worth it. It's not.
And what I was going to tell you is there's other groups of people out there that don't drink.
Yeah.
They probably have way more fun.
I have that conversation all the time.
Because they're doing things like outdoor activities and like they're not dealing with the morning hangover.
Yeah.
And they can get up early and continue on running, doing all this good, cool, fun stuff that doesn't involve drinking.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to tell me twice. I 100% agree. I completely feel that. It's more the feeling of like, it's just another reminder that you're not normal, which is the tricky part. But, I mean, it really is like, so I'm the designated driver. That's fine. I'd be happy to make sure everyone's home safe as opposed to not. Like, I'd prefer that. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
They call me mom.
Yeah, the other thing is you can make fun of them.
Yeah, oh, I do.
You're the normal one, right? They're not.
Like, you fools.
So for me, I've never drank in high school because I've always been on the methotrexate since the end of my freshman year. And so I've always been the DD. I'm the dad of the friend group, or actually they call me the mom of the friend group. It's fine. But it also goes into fact that like having this disease has made me so much more mature than most of them. So like I don't feel the need to, but going into college, and now that I'm able to,
Just be careful.
yeah, I can't, there's no way I'm going to be able to just go into it and be like, there's no way I'll be able to keep up with any of the college kids because I've starting way behind. But like, I don't, like, that's not, I have big plans for my future and I don't want to waste it for just a few nights out with some friends. Like, I'm trying to be a physician and I'm majoring in biology, and that's not an easy field. So if I spend all my nights out drinking, there's no way I'll be able to finish school, especially with the school I'll be missing with my disease.
One of the other things that our church just did a thing on drugs and alcohol and stuff. And for
Who?
those of you that are or thinking about it, because you're going to college, be very careful because it's a lot different now than when probably we grew up.
Oh, everything's
Now they're,
laced.
like slipping stuff in people's drinks, and so you have to be really careful. Like they were telling us, like if somebody hands you a drink, unless it's your best friend, I wouldn't be worried about it.
This is the first thing they teach you at college. Every day it's a lecture.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful I can't drink specifically because of that.
At my IU orientation, because IU's a pretty big party school. It was like in the presentation as you were there, and they did like a whole musical. It was a decent musical. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty cool. It was funny, but it was like a musical all about like being safe and like not drinking too much, being careful what you put in your body, and especially now like there are so many drugs that are laced with a lot more than what you're signing up to when you're doing that drug. So it's not even worth it, especially with like all the medicine we're on. It would just be such a bad decision to do anything.
And that was one of the things they mentioned too, and I never thought about that, but it only takes one time,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have something?
I have a question in regards to the methotrexate. Do you have any like pointers or hints or anything that helps with the shot? I know you said when your mom gave it to you when you're like asleep. I do that with my daughter sometimes, and I think it works good for her. But like ice packs, anything like that you do?
For me, the most like, are you talking about like the nausea?
Besides the nausea, so that
The fear
The fear
is
of the
like,
shot.
I would always like try to put it out of my, like we always kept it in like this little red box, and we'd always hide the box because if I saw it at any time throughout the week, I would kind of like, it would bug me out.
Mhm.
So we'd always hide that, and then I'll always like, that we'd always do something fun like Friday night to like keep my mind preoccupied.
Okay.
And then Sunday morning, by the time that comes around, it'll be all, I won't be thinking about it.
Mhm.
Where did y'all do
what I'm gonna say.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I didn't know you could do it in your arm.
Well, yeah, my daughter will only take it in the arm. Like I've tried it in the stomach a few times, but she hates that.
Okay, so when I first started doing the shot, my mom would do it for me at first, and she would do it in my butt, and she just really enjoyed it. She would like giggle, and she was like, every week it was like, I should have been a doctor. And eventually I got really fed up with that. So I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to do this myself. And I started doing it myself. And I did it first in my thigh. And then someone at like the last conference told me the stomach was better. So I tried the stomach. And doing it myself, the stomach was like not a problem. That was the best place I ever did it. And for me, like doing it myself was so much better. Eventually that did not last, and I was like over it. But personally, the stomach was the least painful. The butt hurt so much. Oh my God, I always had a bruise. Just so everyone knows.
I did it for like a month, and not really. And I did it in my stomach, but it didn't really last long enough for me to like try anything else. So.
I did it in my thigh. My mom did it for me. I like hated the smell of the alcohol, and I hated like the shot, like how it was yellow, just like disgusted me. So like I'd like close my eyes sometimes. I'd always hold my nose because like the alcohol, I would just that made me throw up. So my mom was like, oh, like why don't you try like smelling something? Maybe like that'll help. So then I did that. It worked. And then like they were like the scenty candles, and then my mom started lighting that specific smell, and then every time I smelled it, I was like, oh God, like I'm gonna throw up because it reminded me of the shot. So I don't recommend doing that. But actually, gum really did help, like just chewing gum, like because you're thinking about it too. And then yeah.
I used to be terrified of that day whenever I had to get it. Like I was so terrified of like Sunday nights. I was like, oh my God, Sunday night. But like I would say my tip is like, my parents used to always give me like a special pen afterwards. Like I loved pens, so I always get like a special pen, like whether it had like a figurine on top of it or like it was glittery. I always got like a little present afterwards, and like even now my parents still like give me presents for like every time I get a shot. Every time I get like an IV or like blood taken, I get $5 added to my allowance. Do I need it? No. But will I take it? Will I take it? Of course. So yeah, like my parents really like gave me little treats to like make me enjoy, well not enjoy, but like not hate like doing all these shots and stuff like that.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap up. One last question though. Parrish, you had said that you want to go into medicine. For the whole group, has having JM has it affected career aspirational type choices that you want to make?
For me, it has. I'm going to do physical therapy and hopefully get my doctorates in 6 years. I haven't really been to physical therapy a lot. I've been for maybe like in total 3 months. But like I love exercise, and I love the like medicine and health field that like I just thought I want to help other people like me like work through other problems like I have and they have. So I thought that if I was going to do anything, physical therapy or become a doctor would be my number one choice.
I had that port surgery a couple years ago, and I went, like, my first one didn't work. Like, I went to a regular pediatric surgeon, so then we decided, like, it was, like, stuck, whatever, so we had to go to a different surgeon. So it was an interventional radiologist, and, like, he did it, whatever, and I was, like, fascinated by, like, how little the scar was. He, like, inspired me so much. I don't know why. So I want to go into the field of radiology.
Like I said earlier, I get paid to come public speak at different conferences, healthcare conferences, like around the country. And so ideally I would love to do that. And that's an opportunity I never would have gotten to have if I hadn't gotten this disease. So that's definitely impacted what I want to do.
I want to be an art therapist and work specifically with chronically ill children. So 100% yes.
Physician or like nurse practitioner or physician's assistant, something like that, just so I can help people out, and just like hopefully pediatrics, so I can help kids like me and stuff like that.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and I know these parents appreciate it. So, great job, everybody. Thank you.